Hello, my name is Paige Carbonell, and I'm going to be giving an interpretive analysis of the Sims games. The debate of ludology and narratology has long been present among the gaming community. Gaming theorists have their different viewpoints on if games' meanings are driven by the mechanics and functionality, ludology, or driven by a medium of storytelling, narratology. Along with these ideologies, gamers are aware of the ludological and narratological aspects of the games they play, even subconsciously. The debate has many differing beliefs, but Jesper Joule, a ludologist, argues that open-ended games such as the Sims series do not follow the classic game model. Therefore, he considers them to be borderline cases. So this includes role-play and free-world games as well. However, an article by Satu Helio asserts that The Sims are games, and even more than that, they are games that help players express their storytelling skills. My theory about these borderline cases like The Sims is that they should, in fact, be played with a narrative mindset, while still considering its ludological aspects and how they are significant to the gameplay. Using the perspective of narratology and letting that mindset dictate how you play The Sims will allow you to find more meaning. This can help one become a more creative person and have an outline to express their storytelling capabilities. So The Sims is a series of life simulation video games developed by Maxis and published by Electronic Arts. The first game was released in 2000, but they're still developing editions of this game series to this day. The player creates their Sims, customizes their appearances, outfit, houses. They then use their Sim to play out real-life chronology, including interacting with others, getting a job, having children, etc. The game has vast user interactivity and almost endless customization options. The Sims games are different from most other games in the sense that they don't really follow a direct step-by-step process, and it's pretty much free range and access to the players. When a user plays The Sims, they are not given any direction, they're not forced to rely on any interactivity, and a lot of the gameplay is randomized and very covert. For example, every Sim can be enabled with different characteristics and goals that can be revealed by playing as them, but not directly told to the player. However, through interactivity with the Sim, this can be changed. So if a Sim has an underlying goal of becoming an astronaut, the user might not know and make his career as a mechanic. On the flip side, a player can also realize this through playing their Sim that they want to become an astronaut and create this through their own narrative mindset. Maybe you find out your Sim enjoys space, and then you buy him a telescope and books about planets and astrology. This way, a user can really make their Sims how they want and tell their story. This aspect is arguably a large reason why the game series is so popular. So the problem with being focused on the ludology of The Sims is that users are limiting their gameplay by playing without a goal of storytelling and narrative mindset. When players focus on ludological elements of gameplay, there's less personalization. Although the game relies on a lot of ludological mechanics, users must let this be a part of the story that they're trying to express. So I'm going to be analyzing this claim through a scope of a few gaming theorists, but first we must specifically define what narratology and ludology is. The narratological perspective concludes that games can create drama, narrative, education, and more within one medium. This medium allows us to not only enter a fictional world, but to live it through the story of another. Ludologists, however, believe the opposite. They believe that games' meanings are expressed through the mechanics and not stories, and that narratives can't be interactive. The first viewpoint I'll take, though, is Janet Murray's in her essay, The Last Word on Ludology versus Narratology. She states, "Narratology is a category of interest to the computer game formalists. It represents the authority against which they have rebelled, the thing that must be repudiated in order for their own interpretation to have meaning. In this sense, I will argue that by players having so much control over their creation, they are able to find more meaning in The Sims. The amount of control the player has in The Sims is so vast, and the more control the player has over the game, the more they're fueled by their authority, and therefore will be better storytellers. We as humans naturally interpret narrative schemes in our minds while experiencing everyday life. We try to interpret the story or reasoning behind other people's actions, appearances, behaviors. In this light, we are all our own storytellers. Because these narrative schemes are something we seek and interpret, The Sims can allow them to express this as well. This will allow players to not only be better storytellers, but more in tune with their own interpretations. In the article Simulating the Storytelling Qualities of Life, Telling the Stories with The Sims, Haleo asserts that these schemas, support interpreting actions as narratives. The schemas guide our actions and our understanding towards narrativized interpretation. If narrativization, then, is so deeply constructed in human psyche, and also something to desire, then might there be some game types or genres that would be more suitable to these needs than others? Yes. These needs are met with these borderline case games like The Sims. However, along with playing with a narrative mindset, one should be fully aware of the ludological aspects the game offers as well. The only way to read a book is to pick it up, start reading, and turn the pages. So this compares with The Sims in the sense that there would be no story at all without interactive gameplay. A player must use mechanics throughout the game, which includes pressing buttons, directing Sims where they should go, and interacting with menus. Jesper Joel acknowledges that these borderline case games are not aligned with narratology because even narrative elements do not turn games themselves into stories. Joel asserts that you can't have narration and interactivity at the same time. There is no such thing as a continuously interactive story. Although this might be true, I argue that through interactivity, one can create their own narrative in The Sims. Even the mechanics of controlling the characters through a godlike perspective should be assessed in a narratological light. The user is the creator of their own story, while also using the game's functions to tell it. So in order to test the belief that The Sims is better played with a narrative mindset, I played 2 different versions of the game in the Sims series. I played the Sims mobile app on my phone, and I played The Sims 2 on my PlayStation 2. I wanted to play both games for an hour and see what narratological and ludological elements the game offered within that time frame. I also wanted to play both with a story in mind. So my story was I wanted to create a young female Sim who is a college student. She moves to this new neighborhood, and then she gets to build and have her own new, modern, artsy, eccentric house. And in the story, I also wanted her to, make a best friend. So this was the vision for my story I wanted to create. And by playing both games, I wanted to see how well Sims allowed me to create this story. Both games included initial description and instructions. However, this was a bit sporadic as there were a lot of customization features in between. The first narrative-driven feature of both games was the ability to create your own Sim. As expected, the mobile version offered less options than The Sims 2, but still had the same key features. You could personalize a lot of things about your Sim, such as the shape of their face, hair color, skin color. So, along with the fact of choosing their appearance, you could choose their personality traits as well. So, this helped me create my character really close to how I wanted her to be in both games. And after creating my Sim, I moved her into a new house. So again, during this initial process, the mobile app offered a lot more ludological aspects than The Sims 2. This included more instructions and showing the player how to maneuver the game. But after about 20 minutes of playing both, it was pretty much free play. I could build what I wanted without pop-ups and distraction. I could tell my Sim to go where I wanted her to and do the actions I wanted her to do. And I was also able to make friends fairly quickly by socializing and creating the friendship I wanted my Sim to have. So this did include the ludological element of menus telling me the options of what to do or say, but the more you talk to the other Sim as your Sim, the more options you had of how to interact with them. This can also include making enemies as well by choosing to make your Sim behave rudely or inappropriately. But about after an hour, I had not only created the story I wanted to, but I was able to continue it by adding more customizations and having what seemed like an endless amount of options. I had realized through both of my experiences with 2 different versions of The Sims that once I had played with a story in mind and let the mechanics of the game guide my narrative, I had a better experience. When dealing with a lot more elements like this in the mobile app, it made the gameplay seem almost less personal and have less meaning. Whereas when I played in The Sims 2 and had less instruction and guidance, I felt more attached to the game. In both games, there were more customization and narrative elements rather than ludological, but knowing how to interact with these elements that drive the gameplay allows the user to create a better story. Because I knew that I had to click the screen to tell my player to walk somewhere, it allowed me to guide my Sim wherever my narrative mindset wanted to take it. The findings of my gameplay coincide with my interpretive analysis of The Sims, which is that these games are more meaningful when played with a narrative mindset. The customization abilities were vast and allowed me to personalize my sim and the game how I wanted. Some of the few customization options for your sim's appearance are skin color, hairstyle, face shape, body shape, tattoos, makeup, hats, accessories, etc. The sim's personality was also able to be customized in a couple different options, such as what you wanted their goals and aspirations to be, their personality type, how tidy they were, how shy they were. So along with these abilities, I was able to customize my house sim, their appearance, their behavior in so many ways, and also interact with other sims in many different forms. I was able to have so much control over my game and really build my story how I wanted it to be. This allowed me to have a more enjoyable time. I even feel more creative after playing, which furthers the idea that games like this enhance your creative storytelling capabilities. Being able to play The Sims 2 in the Sims mobile app allowed me to see the difference in control I had in each game. Although both allowed me to tell my narrative and have a lot of options, the mobile app seemed less personal because of the amount of instructions and pop-ups and menus the game had. Yet when I overcame the initial walkthrough of both games, they both allowed me to have a better experience by allowing so much free play. Although the ludology of the game was minorly annoying, being able to navigate and know how to use the menus allowed me to customize my game even further. It's important to not consider the Sims games narratives in and of themselves. Like Jesper Jules said, a game needs interactivity, and without interactivity, The Sims would be meaningless. However, in borderline case games like The Sims, to where it's driven by a lot of user decision and personalization, more meaning is found when playing these games with a narrative mindset. These games allow us to express our creativity and storytelling. And Haleo says if designers really want to let players have a hands-on experience in the game world and embrace the possibility of storytelling, then it seems like simulations and role-playing games in various forms would be the way to go. Perhaps with the involvement of games, the personalization options will become even more vast in order for users to have more control over their game. This in turn might be the creative outlet players need. However, even while playing with a narrative mindset, one must interact with the mechanics and functions of the game as well, such as choosing things from menus and being able to read your player's needs and emotions off a meter. These elements, while ludological, are still a very important aspect of gameplay. In conclusion, every game needs interactivity, and although this is true for The Sims, being able to have this interactivity with a narrative mindset allows users to find more meaning in this game. Thank you.